I don't plan on being here that long. All right, so I guess, Damon, are you going to start out?
Yeah, I can. Let me
Okay.
let me share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've actually got two screens, so I'm just going to share one application at a time. So I'll have to flip back and forth. We're going to talk a little bit about JavaScript. It's kind of a basic concept. And sorry, I got to do it in this view, otherwise it won't let me. I think it shares maybe if I do the slideshow view, but it doesn't. It looks all wonky on my end.
Yeah, it doesn't do full screen very well.
So they broke JavaScript up into a whole bunch of little topics. The only ones I think I'm not covering are arrays and associative arrays. We'll talk a little bit about variables, really what they are. All it is, container for information. There's all sorts of different types of variables. Everyone's taken a JavaScript class before, right? I can blaze through most of this, or does anybody actually need this part of it?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
they're good.
Okay. Unlike some other languages, with JavaScript variables, you have to have the var and then whatever the name is. And then unlike some other languages, for those of us that are software engineering students like C++, variables are not statically typed. So you don't have to worry about typecasting. Different types of variables: number, strings, booleans, arrays, objects, functions, undefined, and null, which is a variable type. One thing that's in JavaScript that does not appear in some other languages is like comparison. When you do the comparisons, you can compare by value as well as by type. So you have like x equals x or x. All right, you guys have seen that before with the 2 or the 3 equals?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not anything new. Conditional statements: if else, if else, if else. So you just have your if condition, your else if condition, and then whatever your default is if nothing matches. Loops: 3 different types of loops. You have your for loop, your while loop, and your do while loop. Your for loop is for a set number of iterations, so you know how many times you want to do something. A while loop is you want to check for a condition, but you don't know necessarily how many times you're going to be doing it. And then a do while loop does the same thing. The only difference is it will execute at least once, even if you don't, even if the condition is false. Functions: function, some function name, and then whatever your code is. And then parameters, just adding parameters to your functions. So let's see what some of this looks like in actual code. And I'm going to switch which window I'm sharing. And so we're going to go here. This got a couple different files. In fact, this is a project from last semester. In one of the classes I took, the JSON file here on the right. We'll get into that in a little bit. HTML, let's move the variable. That's not the one that I want. That's not the one I want. Oh, that's the one I want. And, all right, I had my files up here I wanted. All right. Some of these, have you guys done anything with Node.js?
I've never heard of Node.js.
Yeah, I haven't done Node.
Node, okay.
Is that
Me either.
Windows based or?
No, it's when you do a back-end web development class, you'll probably do Node. It's a JavaScript. It's still JavaScript. It's just kind of a different variety of JavaScript. It's used for back-end web programming, like PHP or any of the other back-end languages. It's not front end. So a lot of this, in fact, this is all from a Node.js program because 313 that I took last semester was all back end. Well, mostly back end. So some of this will be Greek, but it doesn't matter. We don't really need to worry about that. Here's a couple examples. Up here at the top, lines 1 through 9 are all different variables, and they get used at different points. In fact, the one really we want to look at is here on line 16 and 17. We're setting a variable postage contents to reading a file, and that's going to be the JSON file over here on the right hand side. And then we're going to have a new variable in line 17, postage, which is just going to parse all of the postage contents. And I don't want to get too deep into JSON because that's going to go way beyond the amount of time that I've given to this. Couple different functions here. Basically, we have a function to handle postage, and the whole point of this exercise. Let me share a window real quick to show you what it's doing. Oh, that window right there. All right, so basically all it does is it calculates postage. So you pick what type of package you want, stamped, metered, flat, or a package, or I guess what type of parcel you want. So we're gonna pick a flat package that weighs 3 ounces, and you can see here on the right hand. Oh, you can't see that screen anymore. One of the JSON items is a flat package with a weight of 3 ounces and a cost of $1.42. So what this does is you've got your function. Let's swap back to which screen I'm sharing. That is one of the downsides to having 2 screens, is having to swap back and forth between which screens I'm sharing. So you got like the function here from 30 to 35. What it does is it basically gets all of the data that the user enters, and this is all on the front end, and then it sends it to the back end for the back end to parse all the JSON data and find out, okay, it's going to cost this much. When it's done, it calls it display postage, which is what it showed at that last screen. It'll have a variable cost. By default, the cost is not valid. So if the user enters a weight that doesn't exist, it'll still have something that it'll post, or it'll write on the screen. So we get down here to line 39 for each, which is another for loop as part of a Node.js function, and it'll go through each item of mail, and then you've got your conditional if the mail type equals the mail type, which is what the user entered, either the flat or the stamped or the metered. And the mail weight equals the weight from the JSON file, then the cost equals the mail cost. and then it'll display that. So, I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, start small, combine a bunch of different things together, and you start off doing simple things and grow it into a more complicated mess.
So just a quick question. Did you have to enter where it says type, weight, cost? Did you have to enter all those in manually?
I put those in manually because we were getting set information. The assignment was only using a small set of information from the U.S. Postal Service website. There probably is an API that would have done it for me, but it would have offered more information than what we were supposed to be using. So I did a lot of copy and paste, really. I put in like one item, type, weight, cost, and then copy and pasted it a whole bunch of times. The type stayed the same, so all I had to do is change the weight and the cost. And then did the same thing for metered and flat and package.
Okay.
So it wasn't that bad. Is that how it would normally be done? Absolutely not. It would be, you would get the JSON information from another website using that website's API.
All right. So is this stuff that you can stick on our Google Plus community so we can kind of look at it, like your slides and everything?
Yeah, I can upload the slides. I can upload this code. It won't actually do anything without all of the modules as well, but that's a whole lot of files for the modules.
Oh yeah.
When you use npm to download all of the, like all this stuff up on the top where it require body parser express, fs, path, url, those are all different modules that you'll download, and it'll include those as part of your package. So, but I mean, that's kind of cool. There's a program that'll do all that for you. You put together a package.json file, and you'll tell it what dependencies you have. Like this one has body parser, EGS, and express, and that's it. And then when you run the npm program, it'll read this file and it'll download everything you need for you.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
Not really.
No, I think that's good.
Okay, so should we move on to Devin?
Sure. I think mine's been pretty well covered by Damon. That was good. I'm just talking about Jason, and like I said, I have not had as much time as I would have liked to this weekend and this past week to prepare a slideshow or anything, because I was laying on my driveway underneath my car. So let's see, I'll just share my screen here. And I'm going to just show you a couple things on its W3 Schools website. All right, so can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About JSON parse. So Damon just went over this, but this is a just a simplified version of what he was showing us. So, or just the basics of JSON is written inside curly braces. Objects are written inside these curly braces, and the different attributes are separated by commas. So you have this one. These are individual parts of this object, and so there's companions, and each one has a colon in between it. And then it's parsed this way. And then when it runs, you can call specific parts of that, just as Damon already showed us. And so I have an example pulled up of pulling data from an array, which is part of the requirements for passing off JSON. So keep that in mind as you are writing your own code. So here we have the example text, and so right now I have it running where it's just pulling all of the data inside of this cars object object. But you can tell it to just specifically call the first part of the array. Sorry if I get tired. The square brackets always trip me up. I feel like I should be pushing the shift key for. Okay. So if I rerun this now, it's just going to display the first part of this cars array, which is Ford. Or you can whatever. So this comes in handy. It's a quick way. And so like Damon was talking about those APIs, you can pull APIs from like, so this is an example I was talking to my wife about. If you took, like when you Google search flights from Atlanta to Salt Lake City, it's going out that search engine and it's grabbing APIs from Delta's website and United Airlines website and Frontier and Allegiant, and it's grabbing all this data and it's returning to you the API that's then being displayed into Google, the listing, and it's showing you all these different flights and their prices. And it's doing that through, nowadays it's probably JSON, but it's everything's transferring over to JSON because it's much simpler way to transfer data from end user to server and back and forth. Because we can all read this. Whereas if you were looking at an XML, which is what it used to be, it's much more complex. It has a lot of these tags and it's not as readable. So yeah, that's just the basics of JSON, and it's pretty simple once you get to use it. There's a lot of resources on YouTube, and I mean, I wish I had my own code to show you, but this I think does the job well enough. Do you guys have any questions?
No, we're good. Oh, I'm good.
No, I think you explained it really well.
Okay.
I'm working on trying to find a larger JSON example. Actually, I have another project that I did for last semester that'll pull one. I deleted some of the files that I wasn't using, and one of those happens to be the one I'm looking for. So I'm trying to recreate it really quick.
Yeah. So I actually work in the property management industry, and we manage student housing properties across the country. And so for on my portfolio, I'm going to try and create like listings of our different units that we have available, kind of as an example, because I can pull the API from our leasing software, which I think might be kind of cool. It's a huge file though, thousands and thousands of lines of JSON data.
Oh, wow.
But it might be cool. Use a few of those.
Yeah. All right. So are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. If you guys are good.
Yeah, do we want to, is it Louis or Luis?
It is Luis.
Luis. Okay. So, your turn.
Okay. I don't know how, what's your knowledge about the DOM, but I'll start with the basics, okay? So this is my page, okay? So I create an example in DOM, and okay, let me share my screen so you guys can see it. Just give me a second. Okay, can you see this? Okay,
Mhm.
here.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so okay. DOM, you know how the structure is, right? It starts with HTML, then go to the document. Okay, it's taking time. Okay, body, you know. So every element inside on the HTML is like a son or a children from a parent, being the HTML, the first one here, right? So to use the DOM, you can create elements. Like there are some ways to create, like remove child, append child, replace child. This is the one I created. Like for example, you create like I got the element. I use the DOM here, getting the ID sandbox and sending to a var sandbox. Then I created an element heading 1, and then I use the age here. I use the inner HTML, and I already added the text inside, you know. And then after that, I just appended to the div one that I got here on the first time. So the DOM, you basically create elements all inside JavaScript, you know, and you manipulate the HTML and CSS. So this is the same way you can select elements by using the by ID, by tag name, by class name. These are some examples. I already shared that if you guys want to see that. So if you get like class name or tag name, is going to return an array. So to make change in all elements, you need to do a for to make change. Okay. Here, I particularly prefer the inner HTML, so you can like add text, or you can even add tags, for example, you know, or you can select the element to selecting the attribute. Like for example, this is an image element. You can select source, for example, and add directly, or you can use the set attribute, like source and then the string on the side. Or you can use to manipulate CSS too, like element.style.background color or whatever you want to use it. The same thing using events. You can add events on the HTML, but this is basic. I think everyone knows about that. Here are some events that you can use it. So on click, if you click on this element here, on this class, on this button here, it's gonna activate this event inside here. So. And the other way to use events is the event listener. The advantage is that you can, like for example, you can add more than one event for the same type of event. For example, click, you can have like 2 events on the click. You can also remove everything from JavaScript. So you don't need to add the event on the HTML. You manipulate everything inside the JavaScript. Here is an example of how this works. Okay. Any questions? Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. We're good.
We're
All
with
right.
you.
I'm going too
Doing
fast. Have you guys already seen that before?
I've seen it. I just didn't know it was DOM. So
Okay, yeah.
be able to put a name with it.
Yeah. So here's an example of DOM. Like for example, like here, this is my page. Oh dang, I can't believe it. Okay, that's awesome. Why? Okay, that's great. Let me do one thing here then. Can you give me a second, please? I did a specific page so we can work on that.
Technology, it never works when you want
I
it to.
use this. I don't know why this is happening. I tested before, but for some reason it's not loading my. my file.
It's pulled up on my screen, Luis, if you want to walk me through what you want to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, why is not showing mine, man? Okay, okay, let me. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, well, whatever. So in probably in your screen, let me see here.
Do you want me to share my screen? You can walk me through
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Okay. Here it goes.
So on the first part there, you're gonna see the hello world there. This is an example of how to create an event. For example, if you go in the type and create like, I don't know, like put paragraph P, for example, and then on the bottom you write whatever you want, like hello world, and then click on the button, and then it creates the code. Yeah, that's pretty much what creates an event is. So. On the bottom, you can see like examples, like for example, of selecting. For example, click on the choose a class name on the code there. You know, like for example, I cannot see quite well from here.
Sorry, here I'll zoom in. Does that help?
Yeah. For example, choose yours. Like type yours there. Okay, then click to change color by class. So it's gonna get all the class with the name yours. You see? For example, if you do the same with ID, it's gonna change the color with the ID. This is an example of how, for example, select a class or ID or a tag inside of the DOM and change something there. You know, if you can even change what is written there, or you can replace it by another thing. Yeah. And
That's cool.
yeah. And then on the bottom, you're gonna see exactly what I was talking about the structure, about parent. For example, to get like a parent node, click on the parent, and then it's gonna change like the class blink to the parent. You see? Then the first children, the second children you can use, or for example the sibling. You know, you can do that by manipulating the DOM. Here's a code example, so you guys can take a look in it. And that's it.
Nice.
That's a good example.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's easier to understand like looking at this.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys have any questions?
No, I think if we can like upload these sites or these links to the Google Plus community, that would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I already did, so it's there.
Yeah. So.
I hope it's working, not like mine. Oh, now it's open. Okay.
Oh. So I got a quick question. Are we supposed to talk about what app we want to create, or are we creating an app as a group, or are we doing that individually? I couldn't
think that's
tell from his
individual.
video.
Yeah, I noticed that he posted that it was an individual project,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. Yeah.
I think the first 10 weeks, like all of the teaching and everything is group, but all of the little assignments that we're doing the first 10 weeks and then the project at the end is all individual.
Individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so next week, I think it's just Damon teaching and I'm teaching.
Okay.
And so.
All right. We look forward to it.
And
Yeah.
if anyone wants to see that JSON, I recreated that part of the file I needed.
Yeah. If you want to share it, or can you share it to the community? Oh, there it is.
I can. So this was an app that all I picked out of it was the wait times for the rides, but what it includes. Let's see. So this is all of the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom rides and attractions, and they have a lot of stuff that's not even open or seasonal or whatever. But it'll have like the name, whether or not it's active, current wait time, whether it takes fast passes. I mean, they have all sorts of, and then an array within an array that the instructor talked about, where it has a schedule and then it has today's date, opening time, closing time, and whether or not it's open or closed. So you can put like I guess like a subarray within a JSON information.
Mm-hmm.
So even like some of the common things that you see, like someone's like people, you'll have like a first name, last name, and then their address will be a separate array within that, where they'll have, you'll have an address, and then you'll have within that, you'll have street name, city, state, zip, and then you might have their phone number as part of the whole thing as well.
So those IDs, is that where you're pulling that information from?
Are you talking about the first ID?
Yeah, with like the separate numbers that were, because where are you getting the, I guess this is what I don't understand. Where are you, I know where you're pulling it from, but how are you pulling it into your site?
So how I pull it into my site, let me switch which screen I'm sharing. There's actually a separate API that I used right here on the left hand side, or I guess in the middle, the code on the left. This is the Node.js, the theme park API.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a whole bunch of theme parks available. In fact, let me switch back to the other one really quick, and scroll up and show you the information that it has. So this list here is all of the different theme parks that it has.
I almost want to make an app like this for when we go to Hershey Park.
Well, and I mean, Hershey Park is one of them.
Yeah, I just saw that. I was like, oh, wow.
Which is kind of cool. I mean, you don't even really need to. I mean, you could take this and create a quick app for it, and it'll load it. But all this does, like this line right here, 16. If I change that line, let me see if I can find.
We can't see your screen anymore. I don't know if that's.
Oh, sorry. That went away. It says I'm. Oh, that's weird. It says I'm screen sharing. Apparently, I'm not. There we go. So the line that was there before I changed it looked kind of like that, line 17. So what it would do is it would pick, like it's going through, it's referring to each of these as a ride, and it'll log the ride name and the ride wait time and how many minutes the wait is. Like if I run it again really quick, and it should run it again because I just saved it again. All right, come on. I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom. Waiting for changes before restart. I just made changes. But anyway, yeah, you'll go through. So this will pick and choose the data that I want. Let me go back to. So, but you can pick like whatever, like line 17 picks the name and the wait time. You could pick, and then down here at 26, it'll pick what the time and date and the opening time and the closing time. But you can go through and pick whatever whatever information is in here that you want to see. It has an ID. I'm sure that there's portions of the API that use the ID. The way that I did it was it pulled the park name and the ride name from a database that I had set up. So I only picked certain rides. Like I didn't have the wait time for the Hall of Presidents because nobody cares about the Hall of Presidents anyway. The stuff that's seasonal, I didn't have any of those in the database. Using the API, you could still get those, and they would each have their own ID. But yeah, I mean, the way that I did it is not the way I did it wouldn't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you absolutely could. It's kind of cool though. I mean, JSON. I looked at XML a little bit. I thought XML was kind of confusing, so I'm glad that we're not using it a whole lot, like at all, really.
All right. Well, does anyone have any other questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to stop the broadcast.